So the fabled green character, Zamasu, is finally introduced. Who knew he was so pompous? Hello there, beautiful friends from around the world. I'm your host, Blackenfist, and this is my review of episode 53 of Dragon Ball Super. Whis, Beerus, and Goku are headed over to Universe 10 so they can better gather information on Black Goku. Whis explains they're going to meet the Supreme Kais, or a Supreme Kai in training. This is the interesting part. He explains that Zamasu was a former Kai of Universe 10, but now because of his impressive fighting skills, he is undergoing training for him to become a Supreme Kai. Now, many people have already pointed out that this contradicts what Toriyama has stated in the past about Supreme Kais. That Supreme Kais are, in short, born, they're not made. Now, of course, people have gone on the tangent. Here we go, Toriyama contradicts himself again. Oh, that Toriyama, he just never thinks about his own story. And well, I'm pretty confident that Toriyama didn't think about his story because it seems that that's just the way Toriyama is. He doesn't care about being consistent sometimes. I think that we're too quick to judge him on this point because remember, this is Universe 10, not Universe 7 or 6. So that would mean that it actually would make sense that the structure of the Supreme Kais would be different in this universe than in the universe that we know. In fact, you could say that it would be kind of strange and almost inconsistent that Universe 10 would have the exact same structure that Universe 7 would. After all, they are supposed to be different universes, and I am hoping that those differences aren't just numbers. Besides Zamasu being a fighting prodigy, he also can brew a mean cup of tea. Who knew? But this is where we get to know a little bit more about Zamasu himself. He starts to contemplate on the role of humans and whether humans are worth protecting. He starts to talk about how they come into conflict with each other, the wars, the depravity that they partake in. And that's when his master Guasu tells him that that is the nature of humans themselves and that you must accept that. That is just the way the universe is. There's also some more interesting things that he pointed out, like for instance that it's the role of the Supreme Kais to create things and not to intervene with the creation itself. The job of intervening and meddling with the creation is for the god of destruction only. Regardless, it does seem that Zamasu is pretty passionate about whether or not humans are even worth protecting. And I'll say that I think Zamasu came off to me as a kind of pretentious, pompous, full of himself kind of guy just from the outset. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the character, and it made it oh so satisfying for what happened later in this episode. When Beerus, Whis, and Goku arrive in Universe 10, obviously Beerus and Whis get down right to business. They start asking about Black Goku and the time rings. Turns out that the Supreme Kais of Universe 10 really don't know anything about Black Goku, so it kind of leaves the trail cold a little bit. But Goku, being Goku and always wanting a new challenge, immediately is attracted to Zamasu and wanting him to challenge him to a fight. Now, it's very interesting to see the dynamics here because Zamasu, as I said before, is a very full of himself kind of guy, and you can tell that he is offended that a mere mortal, a lower being, is among the company of the gods. This makes sense as even Kibito stressed how special and how irregular it was for a mere mortal, a lower being, to be on the Supreme Kai planet. He seems very annoyed and irritated. Later on, Beerus and Whis take a look at the time rings, and it turns out that every single time ring is there and accounted for. But I must ask one question. What were Beerus and Whis really expecting? Black Goku isn't from another universe, he's from another timeline, right? That would mean that even if Black Goku were to steal one of these time rings that Gawasu shows us in the episode, that they would still all be accounted for in that time period because Black Goku is not from that time period. So that would mean checking on the time rings, I think, is kind of pointless in my opinion. But I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt checking. We then go back to Earth with Krillin and Trunks, and then we get a little scene that's reminiscent of Goku at the tournament when he starts inquiring about Krillin's life, and then he sees that, oh, it's 18 right there. Only this scene is, I think, a little bit more powerful since I think this future Trunks went through a lot more things with the evil 18 from his timeline than Goku did. Later we see that Mai is still infatuated with future Trunks. As always, Pilaf refers to future Trunks as the young master. Now, That kind of relationship has not been established yet, or if it has, I missed it. But since when were Pilaf, Shu, and Mai the subject? I don't know what it is, but since when have they been calling Trunks their master? Is this just a way to put them into the plot? Just to have them around Bulma? I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna complain too much though. I mean, it is Pilaf, and it's always great to see him around anyway. We then go back to Universe 10 so that we can see the fight between Zamasu and Goku. See, Zamasu carries himself like he's so full of himself, that he's so above the mortals, lower beings, that to see him getting his ass kicked by a lower being, it actually made me a little bit more satisfied that this pompous prick, to be honest, in my opinion, maybe that's a strong word for now, but that's kind of how I felt, seeing Gowasu telling him to hold back, and then Beerus telling him right back that if he does, he will be killed. Right after the conflict, Zamasu does have some interesting comments. It seems the fight that he had with Goku did give him a new perspective on mortals, lower beings. It is implied in this scene that Zamasu still views lower beings as beneath him. Now he views them as potentially dangerous, which might lead to devilish roads. Who knows? Although the episode does try to imply that Zamasu is Black Goku, that seems too much of an obvious thing. Not to mention, Goku did mention that Zamasu's ki is similar to Black Goku's, but not the same. All in all, this episode was really an introduction to Zamasu and perhaps his linkings to Black Goku and his character. Anyway guys, that has been my thoughts on episode 53. If you enjoyed these thoughts, please subscribe to the channel because I will be bringing you more reviews like this one. But until next time guys, I'm Blackenfist, and I will always be out.